Hey guys, it's Monday and it's time for Marketing Monday Live. Really great to be with you. I'm actually in one of the offices at Ideas Cartel in Loop Street in Cape Town, and they're a shared office space. They're currently shooting a TV show for Supersport here called 5 Color Fitness. And between the shoots and the shots, I thought, let me grab a boardroom because they're a shared office space and bring you Marketing Monday Live from a shared workspace. Marketing Monday Live is all about sharing advice, tips, and with each other, and also commenting on things that we struggled with, asking the questions that we're struggling with during lockdown, business and entrepreneurial advice. And Marketing Monday started just as lockdown started in South Africa 249 days ago. Can you believe it? That's how long we've been in lockdown here in South Africa. It comes live from noon South African time, and we have guests from all over the world joining us. Italy, we've had New Zealand, we've had Kenya, we've got guests from Ireland, the UK, all over joining us and asking and sharing advice. So the platform isn't just me and the guests that joins us every single week live. You are welcome to post your comments. You're welcome to post your questions, post your advice in the comment section down below. So right now, what I'm asking you to do is say hi. Let me know where you're viewing from. Say, hey, Liezel, I'm watching live from here. From XYZ. So we can see where you're watching live from. Kathy from Sunningdale saying, hey, watching live from Cape Town. I know Kathy started a brand new business making the most incredible doggy biscuits called Woof Cakes. Thank you so much. Kathy sent all the details through to me. And that's what Marketing Monday is all about. Marketing Monday is about celebrating small businesses that pivoted during lockdown. So at any time, if there's a business that's really impressed you, pop it in the comment section below. We'll celebrate it. We'll even share it with our guests that will be joining us live on Marketing Monday. And a lot of you have been asking the questions about bullying in the workplace. You've been asking about how to deal with certain HR issues. And there were questions that I couldn't answer and I couldn't get to through various emails that had come through to me on creative@thegiraffebrand.com. So I thought, you know what? You've asked for it. Let's get someone in that's an expert when it comes to HR, when it comes to bullying in the workplace, when it comes to the struggles during lockdown, to answer those questions for you. So as you join me live, Anika says, I'm watching from my office in Wynberg. Hi, Anika. Nice to have you watching. Joanne watching from Milnerton. People watching on LinkedIn, hey there from Cape Town, your LinkedIn handle isn't coming up, but feel free to change it and post your section in the comment section down below. Also celebrate businesses that are doing great things. Please, let's celebrate those small businesses that in lockdown have really done incredible things. Remy, watching from Joburg. Nice to have you joining us again, Remy. Really great having you. You're always so interactive with our guests that joins us live. So please feel free to post the questions. North of Australia, Dave B watching. Wow, Papua New Guinea, North of Australia. That's one of our furthest guests that we've had here on Marketing Monday Live. Keep those comments coming. Please keep the questions coming. Keep your messages coming at any time. Feel free to ask the questions as we dig deep when it comes to HR and human resources and human capital issues. Our guest is from Csr Technology, heading up the HR unit, and we'll be answering your questions live today here on Marketing Monday. Nicol Myburgh, welcome to Marketing Monday.
Hi, Liezel. Thanks for having me.
So Marketing Monday is all about sharing tips and advice. It's not just about marketing. And we received a lot of questions about bullying in the workplace. We're going to touch on that. But I want to know from you, what is it that you do at Csr Technology?
Yes, it's CRS Technologies. So what I do
CRS?
I head up HR business unit, and what we do as a company is we provide HR and payroll software and services to our clients. My end of things is I head up a team of HR consultants, and we consult with clients from all walks of life, whether it be corporate, SMEs, or whatever. And we consult with them on all the more complex HR issues, and we also go a bit deeper into it. Some clients, we take over the entire HR function as an outsourced function.
Now that's ideal for smaller businesses that can't afford to have a full HR team to outsource the role to you.
Yes, definitely is, and it's definitely much cheaper.
So for all the small businesses that are watching, please feel free to ask Nicol any questions when it comes to HR related issues. Let's start with lockdown. What was the hardest questions and some of the hardest things that you had to do for clients during lockdown in South Africa? We're on day 249, lockdown level 1, and still going strong, and talk about lockdown being increased perhaps in December and January again.
Well, the biggest thing that I've picked up is the traditional boundaries of work and personal life kind of just
Yes.
fell away completely. Everyone
Yeah.
was sitting either in bed or on the couch, and suddenly the laptop's there and they're working at all hours. Clients, those boundaries fell away for them as well. So you can expect to get calls on a Sunday evening because if they work, they expect you to work.
Well, that's exactly the first weekend of lockdown. I think South Africa went into lockdown on Thursday. Friday night at 10:30, I had a client calling to ask about personal branding advice. And you couldn't say no because we weren't sure what was happening with lockdown. And these are your clients. But how do you actually put in those boundaries and let your clients know what your working hours are and if there are working hours?
Well, what I have done is I've put my out of office on in the evenings. So at least I'll get that out of office response.
Ah,
I'm responding back to you in the morning. I'm not responding in
that's
the
very
middle of the
clever.
day.
Very, very
But
clever.
yeah, it's a difficult boundary, especially with any company. If you report to a line manager, that line manager, if he works, he expects you to work. And especially with everything being made so convenient for us with technology, there's no reason for you not to work. So how dare you rest?
but that's not the attitude. We should be resting. We should be working when I know there's no office hours, but rest is important as well. And I'm finding complaints continuously from clients and from colleagues saying their bosses are making them work nonstop.
Yes, no, and I've been picking up the exact same thing. So it's definitely a priority to put those barriers in. And I've actually picked up a lot of psychological issues as well. With lots of my clients, people went into deep depressions because that
Mm-hmm.
balance is gone. That balance is absolutely necessary. So what companies actually should be doing, companies should be reinforcing it and stop breaking the rules themselves.
But now you mentioned depression. A lot of people faced a lot of mental challenges. I went into a difficult time during my lockdown as well. What advice do you have for employees and for employers on how to balance your work and personal life, how to balance working from home and how to look after yourself mentally?
Well, the biggest thing I would say is to have realistic expectations. You can't expect someone to work at all hours of night. There are limits in place. If you worked at the office from 8 to 5, those are still your hours. That hasn't changed. So employers need to respect that, and they need to actually stick with it. And what we've done in our company, and what I've also advised some of my clients to do, is we've actually employed a clinical psychologist, and we've sent him out to see many of our employees who have had trouble during this time because it gets difficult.
It really does get difficult, and it's not a sign of weakness to say that you're struggling or to ask for help.
Yes, most definitely.
I had a complaint from a colleague saying they told their boss that they were struggling during lockdown. They were struggling mentally. And the boss said to them, "We don't care. You're here to work your hours. Whatever you're struggling with is your own personal thing and your own personal time." So we're getting two elements where some of the companies are being really supportive and others aren't.
That sounds like a horrible boss. Yeah, no, that's not something to be taken lightly. It's a serious issue and you need to pay attention to it.
I think a lot of employers don't realize the stress that staff are going through, especially working from home, especially facing the challenges of a 9 to 5 and still being at home, working with the kids, doing homework. Luckily, a lot of the schools have gone back now, but it's school holidays in the next couple of days. So there's going to be kids back at home, people still working from home. What is some advice that you can give to people working from home during the festive season to maintain the festive season balance as well as spending time with the family?
I would actually say treat it the same as when you were at the office. If you usually take a break during the festive season, still take that break and enforce it. Just put your out of office on and leave. Take your laptop into a different room, switch your laptop off, take it into the office and leave it there. Just do something, don't work. That break is critical.
But it's so easier said than done because you feel so guilty when you switch your laptop off and you keep wanting to check your phone. So the first couple of days is going to be hard.
Yes, definitely is. And I'm preaching here, but I'm guilty of the exact same thing.
You see, we all do this and we all struggle with it. And I know I tried over the weekend to put my phone down and not to work. And you're so tempted. It's such a crutch to actually just pick it up and scroll and go through emails. So you physically have to put it down. I liked your idea of saying closing the laptop, leaving it in another room, and actually closing the door and leaving, and making sure that you close that barrier between your workspace and your home space as well.
Yes, that's actually the barrier that I put in. Well, mostly just so that my wife doesn't kill me. But I started, I created a complete separate workspace for me. I took the spare room as a home office, and that's my workspace. And as soon as I leave that room, I'm at home. I'm just
I love that.
separating my spaces as far as possible.
But for some people, they don't have the luxury of having that extra space. So it might just be a dining room table. And the sign of the laptop being closed could be the sign of that's the end of your workday. It's now family time.
Exactly. That should be your mental shutdown as soon as that laptop shuts down.
I love that, your mental shutdown. Prudence is asking a question on LinkedIn saying, do you assist with training and leaderships? Our company has a dynamic DNA.
Yes. We do that for a bunch of our clients, and we assist them in getting claiming back their skills development levies via the CITA's mandatory and discretionary grants. So that's definitely a service that we offer as well. It's pretty much what we do is we always like to say it's the A to Z of HR. So anything that has to do with HR, we do have a finger in it somewhere.
Now, just explain the CETA and the claims back, because we've got a lot of smaller business and medium-sized enterprises that are watching us and aren't aware of these training platforms and what it offers and what it's about.
Okay, so the CITAs, those are the sector education training authorities. I think there are currently 32 of them. So each of them covers a different industry, and monthly when you pay your pay-as-you-earn taxes, a portion of that 1% of your payroll goes towards, they call it STL, it's the Skills Development Levy. And when you submit an annual workplace skills plan and annual training report, you actually apply for a mandatory grant to claim at least a portion of that amount that you've paid throughout the year back. And then you can go over and above that and actually apply for funded learnership. Then for employer, the benefit is essentially we're getting a free employee. And for the employee, the benefit is we're gaining actual practical work experience.
That's incredible. So if people want to find out more, they can email you and you can assist their companies with that?
Yes, definitely I can. My email address is nicolm@crs.co.za, and I welcome any emails.
I'll also pop it down below in the comment section, so if anyone wants to reach out to you. But Prudence, thank you for that question. Anyone else that's got any questions you want to ask Nicol from CR Technologies, anything regarding HR, we're going to talk about bullying in the workplace. We're going to talk about putting in those boundaries when it comes to working not only 9 to 5, but when it seems like working 24/7 when you're working from home. So please feel free to keep those comments coming, whether you're watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube today. And Nicol, I will post all your details down below. A question we've been getting a lot of is bullying in the workplace. First of all, defining what is bullying in the workplace.
Okay, so bullying in the workplace, that is repeated health-harming conduct of one or more persons towards one or more persons. Essentially, that's the definition. But once you go and actually investigate it, it gets a bit more difficult to define, because you get direct bullying and indirect. Direct, that's easy. Someone shouts or screams at you, someone physically attacks you, that's direct bullying.
Yeah.
But when you also get indirect bullying, and that's so nuanced, there are so many different variations of it, it's difficult to actually pick up when it's actually happening to you. It could be a harsh performance review. It could be that you're excluded from a certain group during lunch. It could be almost anything. It could be too firm of a handshake.
So it is quite a broad spectrum when it comes to bullying in the workplace, and people were asking for that standard definition. If you're experiencing anything like that, what is the next step for an employee that feels that they are being bullied in the workplace?
Okay, so I think first let me explain what the best practice in a company should be. Any and every company should have a grievance policy and procedure in place at least. Just to give the employee that avenue to go towards it, and for them to be legally compliant with our labor legislation, they actually have to have that in place. And
so what is that?
Usually the way that works, it's just a policy and a procedure to define the steps, actual practical steps to take when you pick up or think that you are being bullied. Usually the first step in that would be to try and resolve it at the lowest possible level, report to your line manager you are being bullied by some person. That line manager or HR then comes in, mediates a conversation between the two and tries to get to resolution. If it's not resolved to that level, there has to be an escalation. It escalates to middle management, then to senior management, then even to executive level to try and resolve this issue. And if you do come to the end and it's not been resolved to the satisfaction of all parties involved, then employees have an avenue to actually report it as an external dispute to the CCMA. And then the CCMA commissioner would mediate that same discussion. But the great difference with the CCMA is they can actually enforce a decision.
So it's important to make sure that when you are at a company and you're experiencing bullying, to know what the grievance policy is. What if the company doesn't have something like that in place?
Then that's not a nice company. No, then we definitely need to get something in place. No, but if they don't have something in place, then there should be some sort of an informal way at least to deal with it. Just report it to line management and go up the line until you get to someone who actually does assist you. And if there's no such person that actually assists you in it, report external disputes. And luckily, our country provides you a legal avenue to report a dispute, and then it will be resolved at that level.
So if no one in the company is listening to you, your step is to report it to CCMA, and yes. What is the other steps?
Well, first you go through all the steps in the company, and if a company can't resolve it, then it goes to the CCMA. And at the CCMA, it will be resolved. And if by chance something happens and it's not resolved there, it's escalated to labour courts just above the CCMA. So
your rights are protected within South Africa when it comes to the labour law?
Yes, actually, all our labour laws in South Africa are written in a way that it's completely partial to employees. It's 99% of our laws are written in a way that the employee will always benefit.
See, a lot of people don't know that. We face these challenges within a company. We're too scared to speak out. We're too scared that we're going to get victimized. We're too scared to go the direct route. And we don't actually realize that our rights are protected under our labour law.
Yes, no, it definitely is. And if you get victimized, your rights are protected. As soon as someone actually reports an external dispute, it will become extremely difficult for the employer to victimize that person, because then there's a recorded history of something taking place.
And during lockdown, have you had any challenges or faced any challenges within companies that you were working with employees working from home and facing bullying, working from home?
Sorry, Liezel, I just completely lost you on the signal. Can you try and repeat that?
Not a problem. I was just asking, have you seen an increase or a decrease in complaints within organizations when it comes to bullying in the workplace during lockdown? Or have you only seen it when the increase is when employees are back in the office? It looks like we've lost Nicol there while he's trying to get back on the line. Please feel free to post your questions through to me on the comment section down below. We're talking human capital, we're talking human resources, we're answering your questions about bullying in the workplace. A lot of you have been facing those struggles during lockdown, and that's why we thought we'd invite Nicol Myburgh from CR Technologies, heading up the HR unit, to join us live. And he's joining us back on the line. There we go, Nicol. I was asking, sorry, during lockdown. For a second. We took a quick ad break. During lockdown, did you see an increase or a decrease in complaints about bullying in the workplace?
Actually, I saw an increase in it, strangely enough. But yeah, if you think about it, it makes sense. Because people are suddenly being forced to work at all hours, they are being bullied into it. That's not something they want to do, but they are being made to do it.
And I think employers, the sense that I'm getting from colleagues and clients that I've been working with, saying that their bosses expect them to work 7 days a week because they've got the luxury of working from home. It's not really a luxury working from home, is it?
Yeah, it's not a luxury at all, but I think we have it good if you compare it with some of the other countries. I've seen in Canada what they're busy doing is, because employees are now working remotely and working from home, I've seen some employers are actually, to a commensurate amount, reducing employees' salaries because they don't have to travel in and out of work every day.
We were seeing some of those decreases in South Africa as well. A question coming through, or just a statement, and we were just touching on that. Bullying seems to be less during working from home, less opportunity to engage, perhaps. And I know you did touch on that, saying there's different angles of bullying.
I definitely say it depends on the company. It's a lot of my clients, if you're looking more in the corporate sector, there's actually much more contact lately. I used to be in 2 meetings a day while being at the office on average. Now I'm in about 5 meetings a day on average, working from home. It's just our functionality. It's so easy to communicate with all these platforms, Zoom, Teams, Skype, whatever. There are constant meetings happening. There's constant communication. And if you're not there in person, it's much easier to be nasty to someone. I think they refer to it as a keyboard warrior.
Oh no, absolutely, and this is the thing that we got to keep in mind. Bullying is it's not only physical; it can also be cyberbullying. It can be bullying online. So those are the things that we are touching on in the workplace. What is one of the most important things that people should know that are running a small business when it comes to HR practice, and especially if it's a small company and bullying within a small company?
Bullying within a small company. The best thing, actually the only thing to do, is make sure you've got a great policy in place to handle any grievances, and make sure that's well communicated to all your staff so that everyone knows that there is actually an avenue to use. Otherwise, you're going to have a huge staff turnover.
And it's something that your company does assist with. So instead of having an HR person on hand, for smaller businesses, it's ideal to reach out to CR Technologies and have that system in place. It's not only HR that you're involved with as well, it's payroll policies as well?
Yes, HR and payroll policies and software, we do it all. Anything in the human capital space, we do at least something in.
And what's important for a small business that they need to know when it comes to human capital and HR? Is there something specific they should have in place? I'm not just talking about bullying in the workplace, but specific paperwork or specific policies in place when it comes to running a small business. I'm talking about a 2 to 10 man business.
Yes, that's the downfall of our country again. We've got red tape and lots of it. So even if you run a small business, there's document on document on document that you actually need to have in place, ranging from employment contracts to all your policies and procedures to your employment equity compliance with annual report that needs to be submitted, your workplace skills plan, annual training reports, compensation for occupational injuries and diseases, SARS, and the list goes on. There are
That's a lot of info.
Yes. No, definitely. And I think that's probably why I have so many clients. It's because clients just don't want to deal with this legislative compliance burden. And then we just go in and take care of the whole process.
No, because it just sounds overwhelming. I'm listening to these documents that you need to have in place and make sure that you've got all of that. And for a small business that's already struggling with trying to find a marketing budget, trying to make it through lockdown, now we've got to remember to have all these HR policies in place. How vital is that for a business?
Well, extremely vital. It all depends on what exactly you look at. So let's just look, for instance, at the employment equity side of it. It's if you are a designated employer, so designated employer, that would be any 50 upwards employees. As soon as you become a designated employer, then you need to have quarterly employment equity meetings with an elected committee. That committee needs to put together an equity plan that needs to be submitted. And there are 1,000 other compliance issues in that same area that have to be complied with. And as soon as you don't comply with any of those issues, there's a penalty if you ever do get audited by the Department of Labour, and that penalty is either 2.7 million rand or 10% of your annual turnover, whichever is a greater amount of it to. And that's just on the small section of employment equity. If you look at actual labor, and if there's ever a dispute in your organization and you don't have those policies in place, you're going to have to start off on a back foot at the CCMA.
You see, that's a lot of things. When you start a business and you grow your business, you don't actually realize all these things that come into place and how important it is to have that human capital and HR side of your business, not just about the business plan, the marketing plan. There's the human capital plan as well.
Yes, no, definitely. And I've been talking actually on all the negative stuff, but there's also positive stuff that would be great if employers do actually put it in place. It's a product that we recently launched. We call it Involve. So instead of going through the old school process of measuring everyone on their KPIs and KPAs, we've gone a different route and we've linked everything to organizational outcomes. Any company has a goal to achieve.
Wow.
We've linked each person's role to that goal and their outcomes to that role. And they report back on how well they've achieved those outcomes. And if they haven't achieved it on that same platform, the roadblocks to those outcomes are reported as well. It gives the CEO or the entrepreneur running the business an instant view of exactly what's going on. Do I have a problem? How do I fix it? Everything's all there. So there are a lot of positive things that can also be implemented.
Yeah, it's not only doom and gloom, and we're not just talking about the negative side. We're talking about the human capital side, which should be the positive side, and the basis of any business.
Liezel, I think I lost you again.
It seems like our signal is dying there, Nicol. I was just saying your human capital doesn't need to just be negative doom and gloom like we've discussed. It's also the backbone and the positive side of a business as well. It seems like we've just
definitely. No, there's lots of stuff on the positive side.
Absolutely.
Sorry,
the positive should, it's a Monday. The positive should outweigh the negative, but it's about having those structures in place.
Yes, now there's lots of positive as well. There's lots of stuff that we do around employee engagement just to ensure that all employees are engaged. And there's lots that could actually be done. Just the employer creating some clarity for the employee. That makes a huge difference and goes a long way. And letting the employee know what their value and their contribution to the business is, that really goes a long way. You'll end up with an engaged, involved employee that actually wants to be part of a business, and that eliminates a lot of a negative.
And that's the thing, it's about that employee engagement. I think during lockdown, a lot of businesses either got it right or got it wrong. And if you could give businesses one piece of advice about employee engagement, especially for those working from home, what would be a vital piece of information?
Constant communication, as much communication as possible. They need to know that you're still there and that we're not alone. So definitely constant communication. And just letting them know what their role is. They're not just sitting there ticking a box, doing what they need to do. Everything they do has an effect in the business, in the larger picture, and they need to know where they fit in and what they need to do to fit in.
And that's really, really vital, though. You hit the nail on the head there when it comes to communication. So it falls right in with Marketing Monday, that communication element between employee and employer, really, really vital as we go into the festive season. No one knows what 2021 is holding. And just to get that little bit of reassurance from your boss makes such a big difference. We've just lost Nicol as we're about to wrap up with Marketing Monday Live. If there's any questions for Nicol Myburgh from CR Technologies, please feel free to post it on the comment section down below if you're watching live on Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, or you're watching a pre-record of this a little later on. Don't worry, the contact details are down below. And if you do post any questions and you want any assistance with any of your HR policies or procedures, speak to Nicol Myburgh from CR Technologies and reach out to him. And it's an ideal platform to have, especially if you're running a small business. It can really be overwhelming when it comes to your human resources and your human capital policies and procedures that should be in place. Nicol, thank you so much as we wrap up Marketing Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. Just give us your email address one last time for anyone that wants to reach out to you. I think we lost Nicol there. So if you feel like reaching out to him, I'll post the contact details down below. And really great having you join us here on Marketing Monday Live. Anthony, we saw your question come through. Prudence, Cindy, Dave B. Really great having you join us live. And at any time, if you've got a suggestion for a guest that I should be featuring on Marketing Monday Live, it's all about upskilling, uplifting, and sharing our journey and stories during lockdown. Day 249 of lockdown in South Africa, as we uplift and upskill each other during these difficult times. Just email me, creative@thegiraffebrand.com. I'll catch you again next Monday for another Marketing Monday Live. Cheers.